Today's opening words are titled Being Sanctuary by Jennifer Jo Von Roo and Lynette Lowe. Welcome to this space, this sanctuary of peace where we come to not only create our best selves, but to also do the work of creating a beloved community. We come together today as individuals, much like individual pieces of glass or pottery that are different shapes, sizes, and colors, all of which are broken with imperfect, jagged edges, but always beautiful. While our pieces may not always fit neatly together, it is within this sanctuary, guided by our principles, that we gather together to create a beautiful mosaic. May the brokenness and beauty you find in one another create peace in this space and fill our hearts with love as we create worship together. I ask that you please rise in body or in spirit for the chalice lighting words by Lee Kinvey, and then remain standing for our opening hymn. This chalice is for the living, the changing, the becoming. This chalice is for losing the script of your life. The chapter is about who you are and other people's stories. This chalice is for the lost GPS that was supposed to show you how to get where they expected you to go. This chalice is for skipping the directions, coloring outside the lines, painting not by number, but by silence, by wild abandon, with a brush you made yourself from a light deep inside. Startling, vivid, a new voice that already knows you. Finally, a true story. Please remain standing for our opening hymn, Turn Back, number 120, in the gray hymnal.
Turn back, forswear thy foolish ways. Old now is earth, and none may count its days. Yet humankind, whose head is crowned with flame, still will not hear the inner God proclaim. Turn back, forswear thy foolish ways. Earth might be fair, its people glad and wise. But age after age, our tragic empires rise. Build while we dream, and in that dreaming weep. We wake from out our haunted sleep. Earth might be fair, and people glad and wise. Earth shall be fair, and all its people one. Nor till that hour shall God's whole will be done. Now, even now, once more from earth to sky, peals forth in joy that old undaunted cry. Earth shall be fair, and all its people one.
And remain standing for our covenant in English and in Spanish. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for its truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, thus do we covenant. La doctrina de esta iglesia es el amor. La búsqueda de la verdad es su sacramento, y el servicio es su oración, vivir juntos en paz, buscar el conocimiento en libertad, servir a la humanidad en comunión. Este es nuestro pacto. You may be seated. Good morning. I am David Early. My pronouns are he and him, and it is my genuine honor to be your worship associate for today's service of Emerson Unitarian Universalist Church, named for the great American transcendentalist writer and Unitarian minister Ralph Waldo Emerson. We are an active, inclusive, liberal religious community that has been part of the West Valley for over 65 years. Welcome to our sanctuary of intellectual freedom and enlightenment, spiritual fellowship, and commitment to social, economic, and environmental justice. Emerson acknowledges that the Gabrielino, Tongva, and Chumash peoples are the original inhabitants of where our church stands today. Part of the world the Gabrielino, Tongva know as Tovangar. It remains part of their lasting identity and heritage. Our existence as a spiritual community can never be fully understood without fully appreciating the reality and depth of the loss of their land in generations past and the enduring hopes for the renewed vitality of these cultures in years to come. In Unitarian Universalism, the fourth of our 7 principles is a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. In my junior year at Santa Monica High School, I was able to take a modern literature class that fostered such a search. I had an excellent teacher whose knowledge of a variety of important, short, pioneering novels was so beneficial. His passion for these books and for making their themes and characters relevant to us as adolescents are still vivid in my memory. And because of that time and place, we had no worries about the books we were studying being banned. We were very fortunate because some of them have been the most commonly banned books in school libraries and English classes in the US. Of Mice and Men made me a major fan of John Steinbeck. So much so that I read The Grapes of Wrath, another banned book, for pure pleasure later. The teacher was a big Kurt Vonnegut fan, and he was probably a pacifist like me, so his teaching of Slaughterhouse-Five made me a Vonnegut convert. The anti-war perspective of the novel was very appealing, although the 1945 firebombing of Dresden, Germany was a horrifying revelation. Vonnegut's colorful and imaginative narrative and humorous dialogue had us students totally engaged. 1984, not that far off at the time, was another jolt of enlightenment about repressive authority and doublespeak. I also read To Kill a Mockingbird on my own after the class, inspired by that fantastic teacher because I knew it was a meaningful book about themes that were part of my values. I will always be grateful to him and that class for the joy of reading vital masterworks of progressive literary icons. If you are joining us in worship for the first time, we gladly welcome you to our service and invite you to fill out your information in the online guestbook document in the chat or the guestbook in the foyer for those of you here in the sanctuary for the first time, so you may be informed about future services and other opportunities for gathering with the Emerson community during the week and after services. We also have a website that is regularly updated with church information. If you would like to have a joy or sorrow read aloud later in the service during our embracing meditation, submit it by clicking on the link, which is also posted in the chat. Those of you in the sanctuary, if you haven't done so already, may write a joy or concern in our Book of Life over behind Kevin. later when we greet our neighbors. There will be some time for that. This hasn't been confirmed, but usually we have our first Sunday potluck lunch. Thank you, Tracy, for that thumbs up confirmation. In the pavilion after the service. Everyone, so you're all invited to join for that. Everyone online is invited to join our virtual coffee hour in Zoom after the service for fellowship and conversation. It is my pleasure to introduce today's guest speaker and performer, Robert Morgan Fisher. Robert won the 2021 Montana Humor Prize, the 2018 Chester Himes Fiction Prize, was shortlisted for the 2019 John Steinbeck Award, as well as the 2021 Rick DeMarinis Prize, and was runner-up for the 2021 Saturday Evening Post Great American Fiction Prize. His work has appeared in numerous anthologies and literary journals. He teaches creative writing at Antioch University and at UCLA to PTSD veterans. He often writes companion songs to his short stories. Both his music and fiction have won many awards. And now we will have a testimonial from Louise Rovner.
I'm not great at, can you hear?
This,
Okay. I turn it off.
Talk into this one.
Thank you. Better? Okay. Okay, I'm Louise Rovner. My pronouns are she and her. And I've been asked and volunteered as part of the pledge team to share with you all what I'm doing here at Emerson, how I got here briefly, and why I'm continuing to stay and encouraging you all in this, our pledge season. So it was late in the 1990s. Our two kids were away at college. Our house was being almost finished with its repairs from the Northridge earthquake. My husband was very involved in writing music. I was at my school for 10 years, feeling still challenged and comfortable. But sitting there one morning, I thought, okay, this is midlife here. What's in the future for me? Happened to have the Daily News on the table, and back then, they had a page at the bottom where they talked about religions in the valley. Better? Thank you. They talked about religions in, I can't hear myself now, but you can? I need all the help I can get. Anyway, they talked about religions in the valley, and wouldn't you know, I mean, they did that back then, all the churches advertised. But they had an article that particular Sunday about the opening of the new facility for Emerson Unitarian Universalist Church. I thought, well, that's coincidental, might be interesting, and came the next Sunday and snuck into the back there and watched and felt relaxed. And then came back the next Sunday and stayed for coffee and was greeted by Carly Wilkes. Raise your hand if you remember Carly, right? Which was very warming. Then I went to the book group, go figure, without having read the book. It didn't matter, there was no test. And then I expanded in the ministries of the church, although I have to share that I had no idea what a ministry was, but eventually got the hang of it there. And everything was very fine. It was part of my life. I was an active, pledging friend. That means I wasn't yet a member. You have to choose that. Until Ruth Armentrout, raise your hand if you remember Ruth Armentrout. I hope you're listening in San Diego. And she came to me and said, Louise, how come you're not a member? I said, kind of half-truthfully, I don't know. She said, well, go over to Reverend Ann and sign the book. I don't want to have to keep doing the book group. I want to come, but I don't want to have to keep doing it. And it turns out you have to be a member in order to be a chair of any of those ministries. So that happened. And here I was, and many of you I have seen have enjoyed being in the book group. And as David was talking about his high school class in literature, those kinds of thoughts are just so part of our covenant and our purpose here. Seeking truth being one of them, sharing in all of that. So here we are, back in the fall, I think. Robin, where's Robin? Hi, Robin. In our book group said that he had asked Reverend Matthew if we could have a service on book banning. And Reverend Matthew had said, well, why don't you take it to the book group? Perhaps they could sponsor it. Well, then we did. We had a meeting, and at that meeting was Rebecca Fisher, who is here, right, out there, who said that she happened to know someone intimately who might be interested, because it was a thing that he knew a lot about and did. And well, here we are. We welcome Robert to come and do this. Robin, thank you, Robin. And David got right on board with it. And you know what? That's what I love about Emerson. You get an idea, you have a concern, you reach out, and the next thing you know, you're struggling with a microphone in front of everybody. So I thank you all for listening. The pledge means making a monetary commitment, as well as time and talent, which our friend Linda Morris is always reminding us of. But specifically for the pledge, it's making a monetary commitment for our budget over the next year so that we can continue to expand and maintain this kind of ministry for all of us to share. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Louise. In a moment, I'm going to allow you to circulate around as you may, and greet your neighbors, which we've just started doing in the last couple of months. A nice renewal of a very positive part of the service. And just a reminder, during this time, if you haven't been wanted to write a written joy or concern in the Sanctuary Book of Life, you may do that now. So now, in the spirit of fellowship and friendship, let's greet our neighbors. I have to say, trying to find a story or a video that would be appropriate for this subject was challenging, to say the least. But I'm really happy that yesterday, thanks to the YouTube search engine, I was able to find a testimonial about how wrong the book banning is from a representative of the population that it really affects. I think the girl's probably around 9 or 10 years old. So this is what we lose when a book is banned.
Who here has read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis? How about Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll? Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank? What do all these books have in common? They're all classic children's books. Children's books you might not be able to find in a public library. You might not be able to find them because they are challenged books. What is a challenged book, you may ask? A challenged book is a book that some are trying to ban, whether it be from a public library, a school library, or even both. Many other innocent classics stand alongside these amazing reads I listed, and I believe that reading these books is imperative to teaching history through literature. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis is banned for promoting children to not listen to adults to find adventure, as the children in the beginning don't listen to the adults and continue to play hide and seek. I think that just because children may find a character's action, such as Lucy's hiding spot, interesting, that doesn't mean they're going to generalize and find disobedience rewarding. In fact, most would just keep reading and not think much of it. This book teaches many morals, including honesty, integrity, and forgiveness. For example, Edmund chooses the White Witch over Aslan, but Lucy, Peter, Susan, and the Lion himself choose to forgive him and love him anyway. I read this book and the entire series that it is in, The Chronicles of Narnia, and found it a very impactful and positively meaningful series. In fact, I cried when it was over. I was in the car. I put my feet on the back of the passenger seat, stuck my head between my legs, and cried. Not because it was too violent or sad of an ending, but because there was no more left of the series to read. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll is banned for having animals being able to talk, write, and do other things just like humans, or, quote, putting animals on the same level as humans. I thought this was called personification, which is a literary device, but I must be mistaken. Many don't like the ceremonies and other Wonderland versions of real-world events in this book. I read this book and thought it was fun, creative, and absolutely mad. I didn't see anything wrong with it. This book teaches children that, just like Alice, using their creativity, they can solve any problem, big or small. Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank is banned for one small section in which Anne talks about her body while maturing. It is also banned for being, quote, too sad. Anne is probably sad because she's in hiding, not allowed to go outside or even use the restroom after 8 p.m. for fear of everyone in the annex being found and either worked to death or executed on the spot. In a diary, you should be allowed to express your emotions. On top of these things, Anne still finds happiness and funny little conflicts to write about, so it's not all just sad, sad, sad. This was a bright, fun, sorrowful, amazing, impactful, and inspiring book written by a bright girl. It deserves to stay with us as it is a piece of our history. It gives insight into World War II, but on the dangerous side. No one would dare put themselves physically. I'm sure some of you have at least heard of this children's book, Hop on Pop by Dr. Seuss. This book was challenged for encouraging children to, quote, hop on their fathers. Even though the last page of the book says in all capital letters, stop, and then do not hop on Pop, but I guess some people missed that part. I think that again, like in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, a broad generalization is made that most children wouldn't make. And even if they did decide to hop on their dads, they would come to the end and find that the characters have to stop. This book teaches children phonetical things like rhyme, rhythm, and repetition, and deserves to stay in libraries for future readers to learn these very same things. All in all, many innocent children's classics are being challenged and banned. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis, challenged and banned. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, challenged and banned. And Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank, challenged and banned. As well as Hop on Pop by Dr. Seuss, which was challenged. I believe that we should stop taking away these innocent children's classics for future readers to have a look back into history. Banning books is a violation of the First Amendment, the freedom of speech, religion, and press. This amendment states that one has the right to publish, say, read, or view ideas freely, in any way, shape, or form. When a book is banned, the author's freedom of sharing ideas is being taken. If you don't approve of a book's content, that doesn't give you the right to take that book from everyone. So before you challenge a book or say a book should be taken away from a library, think about what you would be taking away from young readers who can't read that book yet, the readers of the future who could count that book as a historical classic, and from everyone who knows and loves that book.
And on a personal note about what she said about the Chronicles of Narnia, I was introduced to that series by my 6th grade teacher, which then was the last year of elementary school, because elementary was K through 6. And I immediately dove into all 7 books and was completely engrossed in that world. And I remember being sad when I finishing the last one. It's like, oh, just because you're so emotionally invested, it makes that. So I can definitely relate to what she was saying about that. Let us now join in our Unitarian Universalist affirmation. If you don't know the hand signals, or you can join in and say, or watch your neighbors. We are Unitarian Universalists, a people of open minds, loving hearts, and welcoming hands. We dedicate these gifts of our offering to the work of this congregation, weaving a tapestry of compassion and action, faith and fellowship, hope and wholeness. We dedicate these gifts to the work of this congregation, and we affirm our lives within it. You may donate online at emerson.uuc.org. With the Vanco mobile app, or by mailing a check to the church, those of you who are online. And now the offering will be greatly received from the congregation.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this